Okay, true story. I had a friend, let's call him Mike, and he had a baby mama, let's call her Susan. So Mike and Susan lived together with their one child. They were never married. So Mike and Susan are living together, they're going through life. Then Mike ends up cheating on Susan. Susan finds out about it, they get into a huge fight. They end up breaking up. Even though Mike breaks up with Susan, even though Mike was cheating on Susan, Susan wanted to stay with Mike because they had a child together and she loved him. But Mike didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, so he leaves her and they end up breaking up. Now, Mike has a good job, and so does Susan. And Susan could have easily taken him to child support, but she didn't do it. Mike believes one of the reasons why Susan never took him to child support was Susan still had feelings for Mike. She still wanted to be with Mike. So she was kind of kind to him. She didn't take him to the cleaners. She didn't take him to child support. She just kind of allowed the two of them to handle the raising of the child, which is really the best way to do it. So Mike understood the reason why Susan was being so agreeable was because she was kind of hoping they would get back together. So Mike, keeping that in mind, he kept his relationships from Susan. Even though he was dating random women, Mike never let Susan know he had moved on for fear that she would become upset, take him to child support, and take him to the cleaners. So Mike kept his little relationships a secret. He never introduced any of his girlfriends to his son. Mike and Susan had a financial understanding. He would give her money every week because she had the kid the majority of the time. And then Mike would take the kid on the weekend and on his days off. They would alternate Christmas and holidays and stuff like that. They had a nice little understanding and arrangement between the two of them. So this arrangement goes on for years. Now the child is 10 years old and Mike meets Bridget. Bridget is a beautiful woman. Mike starts dating Bridget. Mike falls in love with Bridget. Mike introduces Bridget to the child. The child goes back to mommy's house and says, "Hey, mommy, daddy's got a new girlfriend." And Susan's like, "What?" So Mike ends up marrying Bridget, and that upsets Susan even more. I think it upsets Susan because here it was, Susan had a child from Mike and he never married her. And now here comes Bridget and he marries her. So I think she felt the kind of way about that. She felt upset by that. Also, it was just the jealousy. Here it was. I think she still wanted Mike in her life. Once Mike kind of moved on and started a relationship with this woman, Bridget, and kind of gave Bridget the life that she wanted, that's where all the venom came out. She ended up taking him to child support. She ended up taking him to court. She ended up putting him on child support. He had to pay like retroactive child support. They went back 3 years. I think the state they're in, they only allowed you to go back 3 years. So he had to pay back child support on top of the child support he was already ordered to pay. And when he went to the court, he was like, wait a minute, I've been giving her money every week, but he was giving her cash. The judge says, well, do you have any proof of the financial support you were providing for your child? And he didn't because it was all cash. So the judge says, well, that's a gift, doesn't count. So basically you're starting at zero. You got 3 years in the rears you got to pay. Plus this is the child support you got to pay. Now, luckily Mike had a good job. It hit him hard, but he was able to pay the child support. He was upset. But that's just a lesson for you guys out there. If you have some type of arrangement with your ex, always have that money, use a check, use a money order, have proof that you're providing support for your child, because that relationship with that ex can turn on a dime for any reason. You could start dating somebody that your ex feels threatened by, or she can start dating somebody who starts whispering in her ear. So it's always best to keep a paper trail of the support you're providing for your child. Don't just give your ex cash, give her, a check, money order, keep a paper trail. And that's what happened to Mike. True story.